Call this meeting to order. After a moment of silence, I'm going to ask Mr. Riddle, if he would, to lead us in a pledge of allegiance.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Dr. Flannery, if it's okay, can we move this to number one?
Yes, sir. As long as you get general adoption for the agenda as a whole.
Okay. So I can do that first.
Yes. You need to read that thing.
Everybody's here, I reckon.
We're still running that.
No, because our meetings are open.
Yeah, everybody's here, meeting's over. Okay, can I? So I need to go ahead and get approval.
You just ask for approval of the agenda.
Can I get approval for the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. Roll call vote.
To approve it as is.
Doug Flannery said I didn't need, I'm not taking anything off, so I don't need to change
Right,
it.
you're just changing the order. So you need
Okay. Who made that motion? I did.
Nat made the motion and Mike, I think, or somebody, yeah.
Can I amend that motion?
You know what it is.
The agenda?
Let me tell you too, on that, make sure everybody knows, we're gonna move number 4 to number 1, and then yes, Mr. Flannery.
I'll take that 2% off, please. I think it's Roman numeral number 4.
3. We got a second on that? Okay, we got a motion and a second to take Roman numeral.
That was actually,
3
I
off the
mentioned that
agenda.
before we had the motion to approve that last meeting, so that's my fault, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So can we vote on the agenda as amended?
Yes, sir.
It's open.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to ask a question on the agenda. When we start to review and questions and stuff, could we stop the meeting, do that last, and move downstairs and do our questions as a board?
I don't know if we can do that. Can we do that?
Questions is not part of a board meeting, it's just a,
Well, it's the number 2 thing on the agenda.
well, I mean, can we not move we moved one, we'll move another.
You're saying move them off?
I'd like to be able to go downstairs and sit and talk about our questions. And I don't know if that's illegal or what. I mean, we're coming up with questions for this.
You're saying you don't want them live streamed where people can see them?
Yeah,
That's a valid point.
yeah.
The candidates receive the questions after you,
They do?
They receive our questions after we get them.
after you decide.
Oh.
I think that sounds good.
I mean, I'd like to just,
I think you better call your attorney.
Or
We're
just
not-
moving that downstairs, right?
well, we're not hiding nothing. We're just a group of board members coming up with questions. And when we come up with the questions, they're out to the public.
Along those lines, though, I think the way Tammy kind of explained it when she was here was that whatever questions you have,
It's public,
at some point.
yeah.
But
But
at
we
what
gotta
point?
come up with them.
Right, right,
We
So-
got some,
right.
so my request is to move it after we get done with the board meeting, move our questions downstairs, and we meet as a group to come up with more questions.
And then when and how do you make them public?
Well, I mean,
We're not gonna adjourn if we're downstairs, right?
yeah, we're adjourning.
He wants to do it outside of a meeting.
Right.
We can't meet
Well, I
outside of a
think we can
meeting.
since it's on the agenda.
But
I
just wanted to come up, I just wanted this group to come together and talk. You know, we don't need a meeting. We just need to talk about what kind of questions we want to add to this. That's what I'm asking.
Or remove.
Or remove.
I guess, just being devil's advocate, why can we not do it here?
Well,
What's it gonna hurt? I mean, I guess my thing is it's gonna complicate things to move. I don't care if we do or we don't, I'm just saying, it's gonna complicate things to move and it's not gonna be complicated to sit here and do it.
well, I mean, what I'm after is to adjourn and let these people go home.
Well, that's why I'm moving into number one, so they can go home. We're just delaying it.
All right? Are we gonna have the director be here during this, asking these, making these questions?
Well, that's up to him. I mean,
I'm,
if he's the parliamentarian,
well, that's what I say, I
I
mean.
see what Keith's wanting to do, but Dr. Flannery did have a good point about when we call the attorney before we.
You're on the phone.
If you're deliberating towards something, and that deliberation may be what questions you're gonna ask, you can't do, I mean, this body can't do that behind closed doors. That's what the Sunshine Law is all about, is
Well,
to be
but-
able to shed light on the deliberations.
But
that get
we've
to-
already, my argument is, Mitch, we've already come up with questions. We got them right here.
Okay.
All this group is doing is adding more questions to it. Or deleting some of these questions and adding questions. So we're not, you know,
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to render an opinion, I'm just kinda like playing devil's advocate too. I mean, maybe you could reach out to Mr. Bennett and see if he's available and see what he says.
well, let's do this. If Dr. Flannery don't care to call him, let's vote right here on moving number 4 to number 1
We'll move
Delete
two,
number 3.
and delete number 3.
you wanna move two back to the end, just in case till we get an answer?
Yeah. Do we need to add that to this before we vote on it?
Move that number 2 back to the end.
And the entire Washington County Board of Education and most of the central office staff, Mr. Bennett. You're on
We need
speakerphone,
to go ahead and
and
vote
the
like this.
chairman has a legal question for you. Go ahead.
Okay,
Hi, Mr. Bennett.
how are you?
Good. Mr. Irvin had a question. If it was appropriate for us to, on our agenda, we have review and consideration of the interview questions for the director of schools, which we're just gonna talk about adding to or taking away from the questions that have been, given to us as examples.
Yes.
He's wanting to dismiss the meeting and the board go downstairs and meet amongst ourselves. Is that legal?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott.
Have a good night. Okay.
See you.
Alright. What am I doing here?
So we're moving
Move.
item 4, the
To one.
ESSER, no, moving item 5.
Adding 4 to 1, deleting 3.
Item 5 to 2.
Yeah,
Number 1's called to order. You'll move number 5 to number 2,
and number 2 to the end.
number 2 to the end.
Delete 3.
And we've done deleted 3, correct? Or we're getting ready
That's
to do
part
that?
of it.
Okay.
6 to 2.
And remove
3.
3. Everybody got that?
Yeah, so I need to push a button on this or leave it alone?
Okay.
Let's get it.
Yeah, go ahead and do it, and I'll go back and I'll have to add that.
That's right.
All right, all approved.
Everything.
Now you gotta approve the
Agenda.
agenda as amended.
Okay. Sorry, Chief.
Well,
We tried.
you know, I'm just,
I understand your thought process.
All approved.
Thank you.
we could have him call the meeting. I mean, have the meeting.
4 to 2. 4 to 2.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're moving.
Yeah.
It said 4, you said 5.
No, 5 to 2.
You just moved 4 to 2. What we talking about?
Okay. Right now, exactly, we just messed up, but we're just gonna go with what we got. So, right now, Jennifer, number 2 is which?
Is ESSER 2.0.
Is number 2 now, okay.
Then you've got the FFCRA benefits,
Just 3,
and then you have the interview questions,
which is now number 4.
and that's it.
Okay. All right, Dr. Flannery, ESSER, and a report on ESSER, is that where we're gonna start?
Yes, board members in BOE Connect, there are multiple documents, including what's called ESSER 2.0 Budget Working Copy. Any item on that budget can be discussed at your discretion by staff members that are here. Mr. Chairman, I request approval.
Okay, y'all want a second to look over this, or has everybody looked at it prior? You're happy with it?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Love the fact that there's rationales and I know why we need it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you,
Madam.
thank them, that's right.
I did have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The Khajiits. We're doing this again for next year. I know we don't know what next year's gonna bring, obviously, but do we feel like that we're gonna have a need to have the Khajiits next year?
Look at it this way. We now have enough Chromebooks that we can send them home. And we've gotten pretty good at this distance learning thing. So these evening hours, we've got Chromebook, we've got Campus, we've got Google Classroom. Our kids have learned how to interact with our teachers that way. It works pretty well. And the downside is a lot of our kids don't have home internet access, but with a Khajiit, they do. So we can take all of the things we've learned and project that into next year, whether COVID goes away or not. So it makes sense if you think of it that way.
Well, and I see that point where, like you're saying, the only thing I just didn't know, it's kind of like we're making the step that we're going to continue on with that. And it almost makes it a budget issue whether or not we're going to continue that on for several years. You know what I'm saying, 186,000, so I had a question. I just wanted to see kind of what we were thinking on that. I understand that though, what I'm
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
On that, Chad, we've talked a few years about trying to offer hotspots to the county for the kids, that even if for virtual, excuse me, just so they would have access in the evenings for homework and studies. I mean, we've talked about hotspots for quite a while.
Forever.
So, I mean,
Mr. Trevor?
Dr. Flannery, so as you told us last meeting, this is kind of our plan we're submitting, but it can be adjusted as needed.
I would love the flexibility from the board to do that for a couple of reasons. One, we may submit this to the commissioner and she send it back and say, you're going to have to change this, 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 and this. I mean, ultimately she's the boss. Also, we're not 100% sure what the summer school program is going to look like for special education. There's a lot of money in this plan for special ed, but that new learning loss bill that we're just finding out about, we've got some funding. We have been made aware that they can claw funding back, and they're saying, well, if we do, you can use ESSER 2.0 money. Well, we have to submit a budget by March the 1st, and we may not know if we have to use that money until late summer. So you're making a good point. We're going to have some flexibility because almost without question, we will have to amend this budget at some point between now and, say, September the 1st.
That's what I wanted to know. Dr. Pease, you have $150,000 for both summer school for the high schools. There won't be any money from the state for that, so
That's true. That's 100% of what high schools are getting for summer school.
okay. So
Annette,
that-
did you have something?
Will any of that be for, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
will any of that high school money be for CTE classes?
CTE is integrated into the math and science camps so that the real world connection is in there. So we're gonna close math gaps of our current 8th graders who are gonna be 9th graders, and they'll have a CTE connection inside of that. So they would not go to a specific CTE class, but CTE teachers would be there to support the math instruction with real applications, building things,
I gotta say too, if we put money in there specifically for CTE, there's a high chance they'd kick it back because we're supposed to address math and English language arts.
In high school?
Well, in rising 1st grade through rising 8th grade, there is no money for.
I thought you said there's $150,000 to go in for.
And that is, okay,
high school.
I told you to, I'm sorry. The money they're kicking in for summer school is rising 1st grade through rising 8th grade. There is $150,000 in ESSER 2.0 for high school.
to address learning loss.
And it does fold in and can
For
fold in
direct
CTE. I want to say something too about the first thing on the list. The control, HVAC controls and air handlers at Crockett, there's no way $1.4 million will cover that. It just won't. What we thought we might do is cover what we can out of ESSER money, and what the balance is, we'll just run down to the courthouse and ask for capital funds. And just put that at the top of your capital fund list whenever we get into a call meeting for that purpose. So it's,
So will that ionize that HVAC?
maybe not. We won't know until we see the bids, but that's the best estimate we've had so far.
So the HVAC upgrades, we really don't have a clue where we're gonna spend that money, just
When
right
we,
now.
we know we need to do it, we know we've got this much money, and we feel confident that we can get the balance through capital projects because we've used that money before for a lot of HVAC work.
Is it, and I know we need to do that, but as far as the HVAC and, you know, replacing air handlers and fan units and whatnot. And I guess maybe they're just getting old and worn out and it's time to do that. How will this actually change the air quality in the classroom outside the ionizers? How does this change what we have in place now?
Philip, I'm gonna have to hand it off to you.
Okay, the biggest thing it'll do is we'll get fresh air coming into the rooms. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have any fresh air coming in, but these are much better controls, much better units that'll bring in the proper amount of fresh air and exchange it at the rate we need it exchanged to. So that's where your quality of air will be better. Also, your environment will be better for the noise, for the control of the temperature in the room. So it's, 2 or 3 fold there that we'll get a much better quality of education.
Mr. Flainer?
2 questions. I see that the 80 Khajiits, the connectivity devices for students, 80 Khajiits, is on here separately. What is the deal with it versus the 343?
Lorna?
The 343 is already owned by us
Okay.
through the LEA reopening grant that we were awarded,
Right.
as well as the ESSER 1.0, including also special ed. They had a grant for Khajiits as well. So you already own the product. So that goes with that reconnectivity that you were asking about.
Right.
The other 80 is for the families that are on wait lists across the county that didn't get the 2 rounds at all. And a lot of them were new because they went to work, now they're with grandma. Grandma doesn't have internet. Or they're going across the street to a neighbor. And so,
we
because
don't
of
have no
family
more of that
situations, We didn't know until they approached us. So we've added up to 80 so far that are on wait lists.
Okay,
That's what we're trying to serve.
okay.
We remind the board too, there's $307,000 in reimbursements in here that once claimed, you can plow back into anything you want to.
Number two.
Yeah, please. Might have a follow-up. iPads for the, I didn't understand the iPads going to university school. What's a,
It's an iPad for university school. They're our kids too, and by law, they're entitled to some of this money.
so they're only getting the 23,000 for that, or is there?
They're getting some other stuff in there too. They're getting some testing. Also, they've got a huge amount going into CASE. They're part of that. Their university school is woven through much of this. The principal over there is satisfied.
Okay.
Now, he did turn in a whole lot more than what's on here, but then so did every supervisor in the room. So that's,
Well, the one thing that didn't change on this that I thought Mitch made a good point at our call meeting was some of the other things that we've wanted to, that we've already paid for or already going to pay for, so we can identify that, and other ones we'd have flexibility for.
not sure I follow. You're talking about the reimbursement?
Yes, sir.
All right, Brad went through, and we have done a pretty good job of earmarking everything that we had spent, and he found almost $308,000 worth of reimbursable expenses. Now, somebody somewhere is going to go through that list with a fine-tooth comb. We may get every dime of that, we may not.
Well, I just thought it would at least, my thinking was, or following up what Mitch said, was at least we would have the freedom. We wouldn't necessarily have to ask permission if we already got it granted for the
Right.
reimbursement.
It'll come right back in, and Brad, you did mention where you thought you might enter it into the budget. I don't know if you said fund balance or not. What did you say there?
Unless you as the board allocate that to be spent, it'll just go into our fund balance.
Right.
Until such later time that you as the board decide what you want to do with it.
Okay.
If you want to put that in HVAC, it's your money.
Well, yeah, and it may not be necessarily fresh air units, which I seen where we could use this money, but maybe, I don't know how the controls fit into that. I didn't see that approval. So is that just a,
The controls are under a different, we've got I actually have a hard dollar figure on the controls for the entire system.
but that's not,
HSC. And some of the controls will be in those, if we get to replace new units, we'll put them on simultaneously, yes.
okay, so it'll fit on that
Yes, sir.
program.
Yeah, and even if, let's say we did the whole system and we didn't replace some units in another school, but we did 2 years from now, we can move those controls out of there and put them in the newer units.
Okay.
Philip, so on those controls, is that going to be an enhancement that's going to allow you to be able to manage all these facilities from one spot? Are you centralizing your controls back?
Actually, we can do it from this telephone.
Or you will be able to?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do, and we can do most of that now, but some of our controls are so out of date, they're not connectivity correctly.
Anybody else? Do we have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
I need to make a deal with you. If you'll give me the flexibility to move money around among those line items, we will not add or subtract line items. And that way the board will know exactly what we're spending money on. For instance, if we don't have to have every dime of that for nurses this summer, we might be able to put a little bit more money into HVAC controls. Because we know we're going to have to adjust that budget over time. So I'd like the flexibility to move money around if we have to.
You'll put that in your motion, if you're okay with that?
Yep.
And we won't add some big new item, and we won't take any big thing out, we won't do that. But we need the flexibility to move dollars around amongst those things.
Did you second that?
Second,
Yes, Mr.
question.
Williams.
Can we keep this list in our budget committee so we can see where that's, see how we're getting on the minus that? Have it in there for a fund, and here's what we spend on that line item. Is that too much to ask, or is that too much to keep up
No,
with, or?
I'll tell you what, anytime there's a change made, I'll just show the board the entire budget.
Well, no, I mean, as long as it's in every finance committee, just a part of that report, we'd be able to see that. See how we're getting along with,
Brad, just put it on your agenda then.
You just wanna run in total as we spend it, like what's been spent
Yeah.
today each
Or
month?
any changes.
Can we do it, and we don't have to go over it every time, but at least we would see what you're spending for summer school or whatever. It would be fine lining, you know what I'm saying, we could see that. Is that too much to
That's
ask?
it, we're gonna have to do it anyway, you might as well see it.
Mitch?
So, let me make sure I understand what you're saying, Dr. Flannery, is that if you find out that it's going to take $900,000 to do the ionization units, then you're saying you can take the 300,000 from the reimbursement claims, if that's where you choose to take it,
Or,
and put it in the ionization units.
more likely, I'd come to you to ask permission to go ask the courthouse for, capital improvement money. More likely, the scenario would be like, there's some salaries in there for behavioral health specialists, about $250,000. I honestly don't think we'll need all that money. But we won't know until we get into fiscal '22. We may be able to buy some additional, I don't know,
Well, how's that gonna work if you submit the project, if you submit the number that way, and then you have to, I mean, obviously, you're gonna have to move it within the federal
good
project,
question.
because,
It starts with Jerry Whitaker, he makes the change. He clicks a button and it goes to Brad Hale. Brad looks at it and he says, okay, it looks good to me, it works within the budget. Then he clicks it and it goes to me. I look at it, if it looks good to me, I click it, and then it goes to federal projects in Nashville. It goes through 2 people down there. And when all 5 of us click okay, then the money's moved. So there's at least 5 eyes on that, including 2 people at the State Department.
So my question is, so the 380,000 in reimbursement, that's not a movable thing. Once we get that, that'll go in fund balance.
And then you can do with it what you want.
Okay, but you are asking for just to be able to use leftover money in any of the things we're purchasing, or,
Right, we're gonna buy this case thing here, and let's say it comes in, instead of 378,000, comes in at $100 more. We may have to move a little more. I don't wanna come to a board meeting to move $100.
okay.
Now, if we need to move 100,000, yeah, I'll absolutely take. But, just for nickel and dime stuff, we need to move quickly.
but this is what you're gonna submit.
That's, if you approve this tonight, this is exactly what'll start going in E-Plan tomorrow morning. And it takes a whole lot of supporting documentation, but that's the bottom line right there.
Well, the only thing that I'm concerned about, and really not concerned, but if you move money out of something and put it in something else, I would like to have Brad be the one to say yay or nay, because you're not gonna be here. You're going fishing.
Well, there'll be somebody in this
So,
chair that knows what to do.
Well, that's what concerns me, because the new person that's sitting in this chair may not know all of this.
Why would you hire somebody like that, Mr. Evans?
Well, you know what I'm saying. A new person comes in here is not gonna know Washington County finances till he gets.
Jerry Whitaker and Brad Hale know
Alright.
where every dime is, and they have to sign off on it before I even see it.
Oh, okay. I just feel like we need to know if whoever needs to move something, the board needs to know it.
I assure you, the school system will move on after I'm gone.
Well,
Anybody else? Okay, Jennifer. Let's vote before we try to take anything else.
That would hurt coming from anybody else.
Yeah, right.
Everybody voted.
I ain't got nothing.
I'll wait on the boss, what her she said.
All right. Okay.
All approved.
All right,
Okay.
now for the bad news. I was on the phone with the commissioner yesterday. Congress is working on ESSER 3, even as we speak. ESSER 1 brought $1.3 million to Washington County schools. ESSER 2, 5.3. ESSER 3 will bring in excess of $10 million.
Be all free of you.
And Good luck spending all that money.
Why's that bad news?
Well, we have a hard
It's been
time
like pulling
spending
teeth
it.
getting this spent.
Okay. Is that all the bad news?
That's all the bad news I've come up
Pretty
with.
hard, ain't it?
And I think I'm out now, but you're up to, oh, I got to.
Number 3, FMCRA.
All right,
I think we got a quick motion.
Hey, Mr. Dr. Flannery, can Philip stay for the whole meeting? Would you?
I'm not going there. I think most of these folks have got one foot out the door, so,
He's already heading out the door.
I'd like for him to stay.
Well, we was going to number 3.
class dismissed.
Unless y'all want to stay.
Oh, come on, stick around.
Get her stuff
We may
ready.
need Brad for
Slam it
this.
and go.
Okay.
Brad, we're gonna need you.
Just for a second. Mr. Flainer.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve proposal B.
Motion and a second, approve proposal B, which I think is what we had to begin with. Is that the way I understand it?
And it'll back up and take effect of January 1st. Is it, do I need to put that in the motion? Yes. Because it's no, it doesn't say yet.
It's December 31st.
Yeah.
Okay. That's when it ends. So
Yeah.
it'll prorate back to that.
Put it in there.
January 1.
Go ahead and say it. Put it in your motion. Make sure there's no discussion on it.
Make a motion to take proposal B and have that proactive or retroactive from January 1st,
21.
2021.
Okay, any discussion on that?
When does, wait a minute, let me get the second page. When does it expire?
And last day of school.
All right, roll call, Jennifer. I feel good calling roll call when we ain't really calling. You like roll call, Andy? Or we'll stick with it then?
Hearing that click just sounds
Yeah.
bad. Too impersonal.
I'll
When
approve.
will you vote?
I'll approve.
Okay, thank you. So now, we're moving to review and consideration of interview questions for the director of schools. And we had asked y'all to send some questions just so you'd think about it before we got here, if you had any. So, we're open to whatever. I feel like Mr. Flinger on the start, though.
No, I'd rather somebody else start all in. Okay, how about
Yeah.
that?
I've got two.
Okay, Miss Meredith, I mean,
Well,
Mr. Dillon.
Whoa.
Looking at me.
I thought we could go page by page and see which ones that on there we want and which ones we want to take off. Is that what you
Well,
want?
I'd love to do it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
One I like.
Maybe would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'd like to go first.
Hey, Mary Beth, why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay, I like this one.
I can go get
What will you do to maintain a positive climate in each school? Everybody like that one? They need to be able to motivate and get everybody. Do I have to give my reasoning? I don't think
No,
so.
just, yeah, let's
You're
just,
wanting, these are one you want to add or take off?
I want to add that one, but there's a few in there I want to take off. They're similar, but I like this one better.
We're at page 1, right?
No, he just asked me what I wanted.
yeah, I just,
Oh.
if you got one you
Well,
want.
tell us where you at.
Yeah, say what you got.
I didn't know where to fit it in, I just said it. We had it
She just wants to
somewhere.
add it
Tell us what
somewhere.
it is then. We'll
I'm
figure it out.
sorry.
It's like page 1, number 2.
They thought you were just reading the page.
Well, you know, on page 1, I really just like the third one. You know, do we really want, if we start asking on number 1, they may just go on, unless that's something.
I hate to go through every one of them individually, we'll be here all night long.
Well, I know,
So
okay.
don't we do that downstairs? I mean, if they want to ask any questions about us, we can do that downstairs. Because that's nothing, that doesn't have anything to do with sunshine.
I think all we need to do here today is if somebody's just got something that's dead set on that's not on here, throw it out there and let's decide if everybody's okay with it. And
So
we'll
we're
add
gonna
it.
ask all of them?
No, I don't wanna go,
Well,
well,
then we need to go by page, don't we, and just see which ones
She's
we
wanting
can
us to
mark off.
ask all these questions.
To the candidates.
Not all the questions, just one. one or so off each page.
We've
right?
only got an hour that night, and they don't, I don't think
How many
that.
questions
I
total?
had 3.
Didn't we all just have one question last night?
Yeah, that's what
No.
Tammy said.
No, we didn't.
How much time do we
I
have?
had 3 I had to ask.
This was like a copy from, this was Miss Silver's, because I printed it off for her. So she received this, and this was the questions.
I mean, we each have a
she did every
criteria.
night.
Oh, thank you, that
That's what,
clarifies
yes,
it,
that's
yeah.
what I meant,
Okay.
yes.
So each person was in charge of one page, is what?
Yeah, and then the
Yes.
ones we took
Yes.
out, the criteria, some of them only had 2 questions, but
Yeah.
we took some out.
Some of them are.
And you had, in each, you had the same criteria to each
How long is
candidate.
our interview?
Right.
I like that idea, yeah.
So you about 2 minutes a question, Mitch, does that sound right?
That's kind of.
That's 30 questions, right?
You-
That's tight.
You know,
We'll
you ask
do-
them.
You won't get
20 questions?
You won't get 30 questions.
These are long
15
questions.
questions.
Well, I say number 1.
That's why I think we need to knock
I
it
like
off.
to
No,
know
you
what
guys-
this is
you guys can
administrative
be as
procedures
concise.
run to this position. And I think we need to add weaknesses. What are your weaknesses?
Mary Beth, what was it you were wanting to ask?
Okay, I could fit mine around on that first one on number 2.
What was it,
I wanted to say, what would you do to maintain a positive climate in each school? I could fit that in for number 2, couldn't I? Could that be fair?
You just gonna keep adding on to every question?
I'm taking off number 2 and I'm adding the one I want. That's that.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, repeat your
What
questions off
if
and
you
write
were
down.
us to go ahead
What
and
would
sign
you
the
do
criteria,
to
then
maintain a
you
positive climate
take
in
that,
each
and then
school?
you change your criteria.
Put that in for number 2 and mark that one
Go
out.
through every one of them.
And which one was this criteria?
Question number 2.
It's on the first page, general. It's on the
Give me
general
that
one.
Oh, general, not criteria.
Is there 9?
Oh, yeah, okay.
There
So
is?
you wouldn't wanna ask them about their major strengths?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, well,
Mike's got a good idea.
10.
I'd like to know
what?
the
Well, that
weaknesses.
major strengths was the third one. That was the third one.
There's
Yes.
10 criterias.
Okay.
Let's go around the room, everybody takes one that you're responsible for. And then,
Change or adapt to whatever criteria you got.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that you could really get rid of
one of the
criteria
criteria.
9, because it and 5 are the same thing.
Okay, so let's get rid of 9.
9 and 5 are the
Everybody
same
take one.
criteria.
Just go right around the room.
So you've
I just
got,
thought I
Go
was.
one,
I
two,
mean,
three,
it's tied
four.
into
That way
this
you don't have
list
to-
here.
How's that?
Well, let's,
I like criteria 10.
Is that fair?
I should
What?
use that.
So you admit criteria 9.
We're gonna omit 9. And we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You're even gonna let me have one?
I guess.
I wanted 10.
I'll switch with you, Mary Beth. I'll take 1. It's good.
Okay, I'll take
Okay.
one.
Sorry,
I like
Jason.
10. No, I'm just,
You didn't even look at it.
like them all.
Okay, I had another one I wanted to find out about.
Oh, Lord.
How much emphasis do you put on
Is this on
high-stakes
your
testing?
criteria?
I don't know, I'll fit it on my criteria.
Well, just do this.
We're gonna do criteria.
If she's got criteria 1, she's got 3 questions. She can either ask the 3 on there, or she can give
I
her
like
3.
that, yeah, yeah. If I wanna admit one, I
How's
will.
that?
I mean, I don't have a right answer.
We need to know what they are.
Yes, we wanna know what they are, but
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I
May
mean,
not be the criteria.
well, that's the thing,
Well,
it
it
needs to be the criteria of what you're assigned. So number 10, your questions need to fit in the criteria number 10.
I'll try to make them fit. How's that?
If not, tell whoever's got your criteria and suggest.
Let's hear what her question number 2 is.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
just curious, yeah.
I already
We're not,
asked you.
we're not gonna do,
Oh,
we're
About
not gonna
high-stakes
do
testing.
Pardon me?
Uh,
I didn't hear you.
How much emphasis do you put on high-stakes testing?
On high stakes testing?
Testing.
Right.
Yes.
So what criteria does that fit under?
Was it 4?
Mr. Day.
Yes, sir.
What criteria are we over here?
You're number 2. You don't get the privilege to switch around like Mary Beth.
Well, I'm gonna be the general and number 10, right?
You're number 10.
Okay. Well, who's got the first page?
Number 1,
1,
number
Two.
2, 3,
Okay.
Wait a
4,
minute.
5, 6, 7, 8.
So, I thought you, okay, is it general or criterion 1?
Criteria 1.
Criterion 1.
Okay, what are we doing with general?
You lead it out.
Okay,
and that's where you can put my question.
not the high stakes?
one
I'd like
to
Okay, what you got?
Isn't it
I'd
gonna
like
be
to ask-
general
I
and
mean,
number 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody asked the new director or the
Candidates.
candidates, what their process is of hiring and firing, or hiring teachers.
That might be one. That's on one, I think.
Yeah, there's a question in there about how do you retrain or repurpose people that aren't getting it done?
No, that's not actually what
What are you
I'm,
looking for?
well, I'm asking
Whether
is,
you like them or
what
not.
is the director interviewing himself,
Yeah,
the people? Or has he got a group that's doing the interviewing like the previous director does? You know, he has a group, am I right? When you interview, or when you have a panel that interviews candidates for teachers,
I hire assistant directors, supervisors, principals, and assistant principals. Somebody else does the rest.
but they bring you
I
that
approve
person.
every hire.
Yeah, you approve every hire, but the panel, the panel group
Yeah.
picks the person, brings it to them. I'd like to know if the new director is gonna do that, or has he got another plan?
Do you think we're getting into a little bit of micromanaging asking that?
Hey, he's our employee,
I know.
and I wanna know what kind of hiring and stuff he does.
That fits into criteria number 8. That's the day-to-day operations.
Which is Chad. That's Chad. See, that's the only thing about this, if we're gonna sign this, then we can't tell, this questionnaire thing ain't gonna work, because you can't tell somebody else what questions to ask. I mean, if that's your criteria and you don't wanna ask this question,
I don't want to. I won't say it.
I think this is a bad idea.
I tried to get
How do you wanna
you
do
to go
it?
downstairs.
Take what's on this paper and go with it, is what I do.
Don't you think there's too many though?
Well, I think we
Well,
do
we
nine
went through
like
the
we
same ones
said.
last time, we wasn't here, I mean, we had the same time frame last time, and I looked at the same questions we asked last time.
I think what you do, Mike, is you start, you go around the room, ask questions. You got time, you start over and go around there until you run out of time.
What?
What's wrong with that?
So
Can
you're
not even do
saying,
this?
start with
no,
number
you
they
do
do
one.
that.
that and you follow it.
Yeah, follow
Okay.
it, just follow it. And
And
you
if
can
one-
pick, if you want one of those three, you just ask whichever one you want. And then if it gets back to you again, then ask another one.
So rather
What's
than
wrong
him
with
get, so rather than the candidate getting 3 questions that have to do with
Oh,
effective
no, that's-
communication,
no, that's-
well, at one shot, you go around
Right.
and maybe the second time you ask it a little different way.
Yeah.
And see what he says if you got time. Yeah.
Why would that be? That's a great idea.
But keep in mind, every question's gotta
You
be,
can't just, one person can't just sit and ask 3 in a
every
row.
question's got
Yeah,
to
we
be the
can.
same
You
for every
know,
candidate.
That's
I'd rather him move on, I'm
Yeah.
like him.
You know?
Because if I've got 10,
Every
they're gonna be
question's got
tired
the
by the time they
exact
get to
same
mine.
Well, I don't want
That's
somebody
okay.
that's gonna
Number 'em.
Yeah. I mean,
memorize
Fact,
these
your
questions
numbers,
and
your
start
three, your
dumping out
favorite order.
questions and say, you know, like it right there.
But I didn't.
Well, but they do have to be the same, Keith.
We
You
got
can't-
to
you
have
can't be
que-
having
we-
different questions for different
Hey,
candidates.
I feel like we got to have questions for our school,
Here's-
our system.
What I do is take, okay, Chad's got 3. He can pick what number he wants to ask those 3, and then that way, if he gets to ask 3, then it's in that order, and if he don't, then it's in that order.
The
That
3
way,
off this.
that way, one candidate don't get asked number 3, and the other candidate got asked number 1. Now, one candidate might get 1, 2, and 3, but that ain't likely. Does that make sense?
Some of them are just 2 questions.
Yeah, so I mean, but you see what I'm saying?
There is a thing.
Just always ask them in the same order to each candidate, and that way, one might get 1 extra, but nobody's gonna get one that the other one didn't get, unless they just got an extra. Either that, or just stop it at 2 apiece, or whatever, but you got 1 hour, so you really don't have more than 2 or 3 minutes per question.
But you said you're gonna add general and one together.
No, Annette's gonna handle general, then she's gonna do number 1, but all she's gonna do is 1 question, number 1.
I like that
And then it's
idea.
going to Whitney, David, Keith, myself, Mike, you, Mitch, then she gets to ask her second question.
And
or-
if you don't even wanna ask
So
another
she's
one, you can
10.
just go
I don't know, I'm
on.
just throwing
We
out
Yeah.
asked
ideas.
2,
Yeah.
you're 3, and I'm 4.
So there's
Is that how we-
27 questions, right? We got 9 criteria, 27.
Keith,
Yeah.
I think that's order you to ask
So,
questions,
Jason,
not to order you to
you're
ask
saying
them.
that give all the candidates all of these, but we might not ask them all.
Right.
I like that idea.
You may just get to
They
ask
can be
two of them.
prepared, but,
Right.
you know, okay.
And candidate number one may get question 1 and 2, because you don't know how fast they're gonna answer them.
Right.
For the sake of time, candidate number 3 may answer all 3, but
That sounds good.
But you
6,
asked
7,
them
8.
at the beginning.
Well, Annette, I want to.
You're one, she's 10.
One of those questions on general.
Hey, not to take away Ms. Buchanan,
They've got it.
but why wouldn't our student board member get to ask the general? That's here
We don't know
tonight.
that they'll be here every night.
Well, there's 4 of them,
Well, they don't, might not want to
there's
come.
5
Yeah.
candidates.
I'm just saying, they would have to. we would
I
have
mean,
to
I'd
make
just
sure
like
they're
them to be a
here.
part of it too.
Well, how about if they're here, they ask them, if they're not, then
There you go.
let.
Works for me.
Yeah, I mean, I
Invite
don't
them.
have a problem with it.
Invite
Yeah.
them, if they come, then they can do general, and if they're
What
not
do
here,
you-
then let Annette.
I have a question. Have we even asked those kids if they have questions?
I am. Have you?
let's let them ask
I
our
got it.
questions. We can't even agree on our questions. We sure don't ask them
Yeah,
our
they could
questions.
probably agree with the 4 of them quicker than we
Yeah,
can agree
let's-
with the 9 of
let's
us.
don't do that.
So it's safe for these questions to be sent to the candidates admitting criteria number 9,
Yes.
If everybody's okay with that, I think so.
as is.
But there's nothing in there on CTE.
Nope.
We spent $250,000 in a capital investment this past budget for CTE. I'd like for a CTE, and you don't want me to ask, or I don't know how to word it, but I would like to see us ask, you know, what's your importance on CTE, or how do you feel about building a strong CTE program in 2021? Not that it's not strong, but how do you feel like, I mean, what's your,
Whose criteria does that fit in?
I'm trying to find.
I'm
one.
thinking 8.
8,
I'm
Seven?
That's
thinking
what I'm
it's 8
thinking.
too, but I'm looking.
somebody in 8, please ask that question.
or can we need to make it up to put it on here so Jennifer can send it?
I sent you one like that today.
Well,
That's
hey,
about
if you go to 8,
I think they
if you
need
go to 8,
Huh?
look at question number 1. Why not say, in developing and implementing an instructional program, including CTE,
Uh-huh.
that is
Modify it,
improve
yeah.
educational outcomes for students?
If you got 8, you can have that.
Is that 8, 9?
Yep.
Oh,
Because now it's gone.
okay. I mean, is that all right with y'all?
Well, they're doing away with
I
9,
think it's better than that.
Right.
so it swaps to 8 and then 10,
Any questions here?
right?
So it's 3 curriculum instructional.
So why don't we go one-
Well, we did, but Mary Beth and Annette switched. Annette wanted 1, and Mary
Have
Beth
to
got 2.
accommodate us.
Flatter them a little bit, Chad, would you?
They're women.
Move her names around.
Exactly,
They're women.
exactly.
Hey, we
My
not
mom was a
having none of
woman.
this
What?
Male ego issues here. I bring just as much as you do to the table. Sometimes.
So I got.
So we're doing, you're doing 8,
Okay.
You're doing 7.
I'm doing 7.
I got 6.
And we're just gonna add the word CTE.
To number 8.
Will that get you?
Yeah, I just think we put a pretty good penny in that, we need to ask. I mean, that needs to be a big push of who is putting in for it, is making sure, you know, they may say, well, I don't like
And
CTE.
if they haven't implemented anything, maybe they'll give us ideas on what they want to do. Will you fix that one around for me?
Anybody else got any ideas? We good? Feel good about it?
I don't guess I'll ask about testing. Maybe I can get them at the side and ask them.
Do you want to add what Keith wanted to whatever criteria it fits?
What was yours, Keith? Oh, about
We
the,
asked
Hiring?
for
Hiring.
last time. I know we
I
did.
mean, you all reword it a little bit? I
That's
don't know.
No, that's a,
Data
And you
driven.
think anybody said
well, what is yours, Keith?
Say it again, Keith.
well,
Let's see
it's
if we
just,
can
I'd like to
polish it.
know the candidates' hiring process. What is his
Including CTE.
plan to hire, you know?
And that was in what section?
Is he gonna,
You know,
if you got a short skirt, you gonna get hired, if you got a, you know, I'm serious.
I think that's a little bit.
It's his, but he's like a day-to-day
bid
Including
operation.
CTE?
Operation.
Well, I mean,
Well,
if,
he
if,
makes
I
that.
mean,
Right, but I mean, he could do.
I'm afraid to ask you this, but if somebody asked you that, what would you say?
What do you mean?
Is that
Ask
bad?
me a short skirt or
Well,
a?
if I asked you what's your hiring process, what would your answer be?
No, man.
Well, I mean, you know, a short,
Okay.
what is, how do you do
I mean,
it? How do you do it?
Okay.
I'm trying to ask if that's a fair question.
Four-year track, a
I understand kind of where you're going, but is that a fair question?
Well,
I
you
mean-
know, what is the process, you know, what is your process for hiring is a fair question.
But what is,
Yeah.
what are you asking? What do you think you want to hear them say? I guess is what I'm saying.
For me, it's a cooperative, like, your principal has input, your secondaries have input, and then they take that to the director and says, this is the two best candidates, this is the one we prefer, and have at it, because that's the director's the last say. You know, when they hire people, they have a committee usually, and they interview everybody together, and then they meet with the director.
Based
So-
on site-based management.
Yes,
Where
based on
they are allowed
site-based.
to have
And
input.
that ain't got nothing to do with what you're talking about.
Well, kindly, I mean, you know, that's that person's plan, is this is how you're,
So you want to know what their plan,
I'd like to know how they,
He's just wanting their hiring process.
what
I know,
is
but
their
I'm trying to
plan
think
for
of-
hiring?
like, I don't even know what that would be. Like, what is it? What is
Just
that?
like what
What
Annette
is yours?
said, what is your plan or how do you go about
Well, I
hiring?
hire them if I like them. If I don't like them, I don't hire them. If I wouldn't take them home to eat dinner on Sunday with my family, I wouldn't hire them.
Well, you know,
Just being honest.
There you go.
That's my plan, so.
there's a whole lot more of it whenever it comes to
Well, I know,
hiring
but I
somebody
mean,
in a classroom with a
yeah.
teacher.
I mean, that's why I'm not hiring them. But,
Well, you're hiring the main one.
I know it, but I'm just.
You are hiring the main one, so you better know what he's,
I'm just trying to
Or he
perfect
or
that,
she,
I'm
excuse
trying to
me.
perfect your question, but I gotta understand what you're looking for to help you.
I
do
just,
that.
my question is, I'd like to know what his hiring process is.
Well, could we use that for communication instead of, because you're not asking them day-to-day
The
operations.
only thing is, if they haven't already been a director of schools.
Okay,
some of
he's
them
got a
haven't.
plan.
Okay. well,
That
some of
person
them-
has got a plan.
Some of them haven't been, they may not have a plan, they may
But-
give you an idea what they want to do, right?
Let this
Okay.
board know what their plan is.
I just wanna ask fair questions that we can get a reasonable answer is all. I'm not saying it's a bad question, I'm just saying I'd like to. I don't wanna ask them something, they're just sitting there looking at us like, well, what do you mean? And then I'm saying, I don't know what we mean, because well, nobody could decide what we mean. I
What do you
thought,
think,
well, I know what
Dr.
he means.
Flannery? Would you rather have quality or quantity of questions, if you were asked?
You want to stay away from yes or no questions or something like, do you support CTE? Because they're going to say yes.
Yeah, you can,
Well,
yeah,
an
they've got the
example
young
of it, yeah, maybe, okay, that's true.
how would you improve our CTE program?
Or you say, how do you support a child or a student that you know is not going to a four-year university and just
That's a
let them
good
talk?
one.
Okay.
Have a path for someone who's not calling
Well,
around.
that's what I'm
yeah.
looking for.
But that person can say, well, I don't know what your CTE program is like right now.
Well, they can give
You
you
know?
the idea what they would like to do, how
Well,
they would like to see
That's
it.
a,
Well,
you know,
in your all's previous experience, so don't they know a lot more about the system than,
You think they do?
If they don't, why would you hire
You
them?
know,
I'm pretty sure they're gonna do their.
I mean, no, don't,
well, I mean, you know,
Okay.
let me say this.
they've done enough, they should have done enough, research on us, just like we're doing on them. They should be looking at our system. And I'm sure they've caught the website, I'm sure they have looked at everything online.
They're tied into YouTube right now.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, they are, you know what I'm saying? They are researching us just as much as we're researching them. So they should know kind of what our CTE looks like. And if they don't, if they're not doing that research, do they really want to be here?
All right, anybody else?
Right here.
Go ahead,
Yes,
John.
yes, Mr. Flynn.
with this number 3 on the general, and just asking them, wouldn't you want to know what their major weaknesses would be? Is that
Yes,
not a fair
I've got that
question?
on the question. I took one off and added that one, Chad.
I mean,
You have to ask Mr. Hammond, that's his section.
Oh, that's
Like
general.
general.
General, that's general, okay, I thought you said
that's
number
going to
3.
the student board member.
I got you.
And if we couldn't get, if one of them can't be here at night, can we, as, the next one, like, you know, obviously we got 4, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll have another one come in for the next one. If one can't make it, can't we just, all right, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, again, you know what I'm saying?
Just try to get them here, try to get somebody here.
Yeah. Okay. I'll work on it.
Well, and that's gonna ask them if they ain't.
I know, but I'd like for them to have a little say, so I think it says a lot for our system that we have student board members.
Yeah, no, it's good,
On there.
but I mean, if they ain't here, then no, it's be okay.
So is this an extra question?
Why would you do that? Why would you just ask that question? And then say, then here's your weakness.
Hard to catch, right?
So, I'm making another question, make it a 2-part question. Number 3.
Are they mad?
Dr. Planner, that's the last on our agenda, isn't it?
Well, we gotta approve these questions first, but what about,
Can they wait?
We did that, all we gotta do is whenever they're
yeah,
done.
Mr. Buchanan,
We can
I
go
think
home.
we need to add 3 in that second part, because if they don't get to it, I'd like, if somebody's gonna tell me their strengths, I'd like to know their,
So you want it to be a 2-part question?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to.
Well, I didn't even put 3 down there, so there you go. That's the second question.
What I was going to do, walk over to the house, make that stuff safe.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I think of it.
I think in that,
Oh, it should be interesting.
Done. All right, we good?
Does anybody have any questions about the schedules or anything?
Is everybody got somebody?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good.
So we could be here if we wanted to at 10 o'clock, right?
Chairman?
I don't see any reason why it would hurt myself. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she wanted to know.
Mary Beth wants to spectate, I don't see why she can't.
Weaknesses.
Mary Beth wants to what?
She wants to spectate.
I don't know, maybe,
Spectator.
She wants to come, like if we're here at 10 o'clock in the morning, she wants to sit back there and listen.
Would you
I don't
go
know
over the
that you'll
schedule for us?
look at
just
that
so
and see if you
everybody's clear on what
understand.
we're gonna be doing?
Jennifer, do I have a copy of this schedule?
Mary Beth,
The extra,
is environment?
It's actually
gonna be a
Change
part of the
environment
question,
and
too.
climate?
so put it
You
with it.
can.
Okay.
Because I think you changed a little bit.
And what do you consider?
Well, what we did, we changed 3:15 to 4. Is that what you're asking?
No,
Hey Jennifer, can I have your piece of paper back?
I was told that when we drop them off at 10, be back at 12:30.
Thanks.
And then be back at 3:30, down here at 4.
Are you gonna send these questions to us?
Yeah.
First,
Too?
Just so
Okay.
everybody knows.
yeah. I'll let those to you all
Well,
then.
you don't
I
want
want to
to
get these
Yeah,
questions to
but
you
I don't have a
tomorrow.
layout.
Right.
Jennifer, do I have a layout of that we can read to them so they
What's
know kind of what each,
Oh, I do.
it don't have to be personal, but
Got
just,
the schedule?
yeah.
Huh?
I don't think I need to be here till.
Let me read it.
4
Yeah,
o'clock.
that's pretty good.
Okay, so here's the daily schedule. 8 a.m., I'm gonna say breakfast. If you've got somebody, you know what you're doing with them. 9 a.m.'s tour of the schools and the community. A board member will transportate, and you'll also pick them up at breakfast at 8 a.m. or take them to breakfast at 8 a.m. You'll know before that day comes, I hope. 10:15, central office to meet with school principals, central office staff. Board member drops off candidate at central office. 11:30 is lunch with the commissioners and community leaders. 12:30 is a break. So you'll take them back to the hotel or continue to tour community. I would just plan on being with them all day, whatever they want to do, pretty much.
And last time, some of them chose that time just to sit here and prepare their mind. We put them in a quiet room where nobody could bother them.
At 4 o'clock, we got central office for a meet and greet with teachers and support staff. At 5 o'clock, we got central office boardroom interview and public is invited. 4 o'clock is gonna be virtual.
Yes, they'll be set up, and then each school will have a representative that comes with their questions from their school.
And 6 o'clock dinner with the board members. Yes, Mr. Flynn?
Can we sit here, can we come to the 4 o'clock one, just to attend?
That's what I thought. That's kinda what Mary Beth
No, I
wanted.
don't think I'll
You
be in
can't
the
ask
morning, I
questions.
think I'll just come at 4, like you
You
said.
hear me?
I think
Yeah,
it's-
can't ask
you're
questions.
not- you're-
No, I don't, but I mean,
What do we do after dinner?
Take them home.
Take them back to the-
So is there any way to stretch that 5 o'clock start to 4:30?
Well, somebody wanted to move 3:15 to 4,
There-
so.
I mean, to give us an hour and a half for an interview instead
Just
of
go
an
to
hour.
6:30?
An hour is a short period
Well,
of
just-
time to interview somebody that's gonna leave.
Well, let's go to 5:30, I
Go to
mean,
dinner.
it starts at 5 and not eat till 6:30.
We're
Yeah,
eating
just-
here,
Move our
right,
dinner later.
downstairs.
Pardon me?
Yeah,
At
Move our dinner
6:30.
till
Well,
later.
then
Let's
we
go to
don't have to
6:30.
go anywhere.
yeah, cause that 4 o'clock, in the sample, it's like 10 minutes they get to introduce themselves, you know, tell who they are, yada yada.
Go have dinner.
And then
somewhere.
30 minutes to answer questions.
Basically, 4 just goes to 4:30, right, Jennifer?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
as of right
And
now.
that's gonna cut them off.
Well,
So-
move
so you
dinner
wanna bump our
move
dinner to 7?
30 minutes later,
7
6:30.
o'clock.
at least 30 minutes later, and then,
Okay, 7 o'clock, we
7
can do
o'clock.
that.
The time.
and then give us an hour and a half for interview.
And
That's what I'm
here
thinking.
was kinda my
6:30.
thoughts. If you've got somebody and somebody else that works or wants to participate to take them back that night, I think
If they- yeah.
y'all work that out amongst yourselves and help somebody out or
No, when we
whatever.
toured the schools, we're not going in the school, we
You don't
just
go
take them by.
in, you just drive, yeah.
Just drop off.
Take
Good.
them by keys.
Clear as mud.
and you've got all that taken care of as far as who's taking who. Okay,
I think we're good,
we would know if we were one of the ones, right?
yes.
If you didn't volunteer, you ain't one, okay? Okay,
Alright, so I'll move in at a 7.
7,
That
alright.
works.
Alright, we good?
So let me ask you another question, and I'm sure you're not surprised, but, the 4 o'clock meeting with the teachers and staff, I just wanna understand that a little bit more. You're gonna bring a representative for all schools will be here. Anybody that wants to can watch it online or whatever. And then one person from that school will always be that one person every day. Those 5 candidates, that same person will be from that school.
They may change it, that's
Yeah.
up to the school if they send a different
Who
representative.
picks that? The teacher, the principal, the,
It's up to the administrator, how they,
Okay.
I think a lot of them have like leadership teams, so I imagine, you know, that's what they'll
okay.
do.
So they'll all have, but what about central office staff? That'll be in the morning, right?
Yeah.
They meet with those people in the morning.
Mhm.
So how much
Well,
time
I
do
think
you
I
have
understand.
designated in that?
And
You
like,
need at
it's
least
gonna be
an
pretty
hour
much
for
set
that,
up
don't
like we
you?
did that.
No,
30
30
minutes.
minutes is what they get, that's
Where
what's
everybody
always
was
been
in
set up.
one room at each school.
Yeah.
And they
Not
can-
enough time?
Well,
Teacher meet- Yes.
what I was just trying to get my head wrapped around is everybody
It's gonna be
had
grilled all
equal
day long, I
opportunity.
think. I
They
to-
do,
30
at their
minutes is
school,
enough time.
they can give, turn in questions, and then that person will bring those questions and
I mean, I just want to do it the best I can,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying, so no.
But it is, I mean, it is a meet and greet, it is not a central office interview process or a teacher interview
No.
process of a director, so that's.
It's just, it's very,
Clear about that.
very
What's
informal.
the sample question that you may hear now?
I'm gonna have to get some shoes, our old man.
I need to get me a job at
I
Pace.
don't know.
I don't
really.
Lowe's, I bet
I mean, I just didn't know,
You work in the.
I really don't know what to
Just-
expect. I may come in one time, may not be back.
Yeah.
Water.
Ain't great.
Just be seeing the moderator.
How old's your girls now?
23,
Mine,
24.
Anyway,
Allison turned 22.
it's
Yeah.
very informal.
Jennifer, who do we have?
Yeah.
I get the commissioners, what other like community leaders are
We
we?
invited the town of Jonesboro, that mayor and the alderman, invited, Mayor Jamerson and Sergeant
The
Root.
sheriff?
Yeah, because, you know, they're
Right, yeah,
really work with us.
right, right.
And that's it right now, unless you all think of someone else.
What about any, chambers or anything like that?
Chamber might not be a bad idea.
Okay, who is that now?
Bob Campbell,
Oh, is it? Okay,
he took Gary's place.
I can reach out to him.
What about the, Quest?
Yep. Get
Mr. Harlan?
Lee,
Okay.
James.
What about our little club over here? They raised money for us a
Kiwanis?
couple of years ago.
Kiwanis?
Kiwanis.
I'll ask about the ones, come
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Where you feeding them?
Who's the leader for that, Juanas?
Is it, are you doing lunch
Mhm.
for them? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you kinda gotta be careful about how many you get. Michelle Stewart, I think, is president of that right here.
Anybody else?
That's right.
That it? We need to vote.
Do you have his contact, Mr. Cantler,
Did you change anything?
that you can send me?
Not really.
Oh, bet you I can find it.
We didn't change anything.
Just added CTE.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
You don't need to vote.
All right,
Who was that? That's Jason back there.
we good?
Yeah.
Or mine?
And I don't know if y'all heard, I'll get these typed up and send it to you, I guess, first thing in the morning. And then I want to get it to the candidates tomorrow or TSBA, whoever sends that to them.
All right. We're done.
Dad, do you want this done?
Been fun.
No, but there's still.
Good night.